about with me the things we worked on for the job thing.
Did you, okay, yeah, this is Saturday, April 8th, April 14th, 2014. It's a meeting with the water commissioners in Raleigh, Massachusetts. April 12th, I'm sorry. Okay. April 12th. And as everybody knows, Mark is leaving today. That leaves us with a need to fulfill the responsibilities of the superintendent sooner rather than later. With the process that we have to deal with, it would be quite a gap in time between the time we can hire somebody and the time of need here. In the past, we recruited some people that were here to, do this duty. Mark, you're not interested in extending your time? Why?
Thinking that the interim period would be finished and you would have hired someone already, I accepted a commitment to a 9-week commitment in China. I have to honor that. I thought we would have replaced, being the interim, I thought we would have replaced me by now. So I had no way of knowing if I was going to go past this time.
Okay,
So
you're in mode to prepare for your trip.
Yeah, I leave in a week from Monday. I'm actually going to China.
Okay. What's the status of the? We were looking at the job description 2 months ago. Putting that forward.
The board appointed Stu and I to review that, and we did. And here are the notes from that and the result. And I think from there it has to be reviewed. And the quickest way that I know of to get a replacement of my kind of job is to go through New England Waterworks. And New England Waterworks, I think it's something like $50 for a month advertising. And you'll get plenty of responses that way. Since people knew I was leaving and that there was an interim, I've also had some suggestions for candidates. I don't know if it's proper to mention them, but they should respond to the. Well, there's two issues. They should respond to the long-term superintendent position, but also I'm thinking I've been trying to think of who might fit the interim role to do the duties. Would you like to hear those thoughts?
Yes. Sure.
Okay. I'm thinking John Hargraves, I think, would actually be able to function. I know he's done this in a line degree before. For a short term, I know he's at least familiar with everything that's been going on. Glenn needs to be at his post in operations. I mean, he can't do both, so I think he needs to do operations and stay as primary operator.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you would actually be able to, I don't know if it's within the charter to do it, but the town charter, but I believe you could actually fill the position temporarily. I don't know if you can be on the board and be acting superintendent at the same time either. And then, well, the other people I'm thinking of would be the long-term solution. But that's the best I can come up with on short notice.
Okay. As Stu, you want to have anything to add to that?
Oh, excuse me. I went to a meeting the other day with the administrator and Dave from the personnel board, and I have copies for you gentlemen of the job description, and I have copies here from notes from Mark here, copies what he suggested.
The one that you just passed out, is that the one that you and I worked on?
No, it's
Oh, okay, it's been, so in process, we took the old one, we reviewed it, And then it's been amended as well, it's been changed as well. And I have in the records here some notes that John Reza made,
Yep.
apparently, so this was in process before as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Okay, so this is the latest version?
Yes,
I haven't seen it, this is from Stu and from downtown.
It's March 24th.
it's the latest version.
Okay,
I received it
so
Thursday.
as I understand it, and thank God Mr. Madden's here, and Mr. Peterson. This would have to go before the personnel board. So
That's correct.
what's the quickest we could get a review of this?
The plan would be that if you approve that at this meeting, that we would meet most likely Thursday, discuss it and approve it. And I assume after that, once it's approved by the personnel board, I don't know if the board of selectmen wants to then meet the following Monday, but within approximately a week, we could be, and in fact, I think we could post the position before we actually approve this, assuming that you people approve it. I don't have any doubt that we'll go through the approval process without a hitch. It's just, it may take a week at the max, and then, I would recommend for the personnel board status that we get it out and post it ASAP. Obviously, we've got a crisis here that needs to be filled.
Yeah, my thoughts were that if we want to advertise this without hitch right away, we'd use the old description and just
No,
get this
you
thing
really can't. I mean, if you're gonna do anything, advertise it with the new description that we'll have in place, because I don't know how much changes there is, but if you advertise the old description, all of a sudden I'm sure there's pay issues, and there's probably some changes in there related to the water treatment plant, I don't know. Offhand, I haven't looked at it, I just sat with Stu and Debbie and discussed it, but we didn't get into the details, because that's the personnel board as a whole needs to do that. But whatever you do, if you approve this, it needs to be posted onto this job description. Otherwise, you're going to run into a hitch.
Okay.
I don't think it's a big problem. I don't think there's that dramatic changes. It's just probably some minor stuff, and then maybe, I don't know if they assigned a pay grade or stuff like that. So.
Well, we sent it uptown. How long ago was that? To have them review it.
Well, in terms of timing, on February 17th, I put in a notice that I would be going to China.
Yeah.
So this isn't new news.
Yeah.
And Stu and I finished our first draft revision. I'm going to say late January, I don't remember exactly when, but definitely, I think very late in January or something like that.
Okay. All right, so...
But it takes time to review, and
yeah, and then
everybody has the budget going on. I mean, everybody's been extremely busy, doing the best they can.
Debbie has been extremely busy
yeah, I know.
doing the budget, town meeting.
Well, do you work on the agenda for the personnel board meeting?
Yeah, we'll post it Monday.
Okay. So we could vote on this today and get this thing over to them, and then we could discuss it again on Thursday night. So I'm not available on Thursday night. Stu, would you be available to go in?
Yes.
So, Stu, you read it. I read this a few times. How about you, Roy?
I'm just reading it.
Okay. Why don't you take a few minutes and we'll discuss it a little further. I talked with John Hargraves. He's not interested in helping us out. So he's too busy with his stuff and helping us out with the treatment plant. Okay, so,
Okay.
and then to bring in somebody right now at this point is, it's going to be rather cumbersome, still on my part, to keep everybody up to speed here, or keep this department going. So, and I don't think there's, we're too busy with this startup of the treatment plant to rely on Glenn to be you know, managing any of that, so.
They're running the treatment plant next week, they're doing testing. They're not putting it to the system yet, but they're trying it next week,
Yeah.
and the entire staff is gonna be busy all next week.
Okay, so,
And
it's not an option.
if it's this quick, and it does get posted, within 4 weeks, you'll have candidates. So they, if you could bring someone in new, by the time they ramp up, you'd be bringing in the new guy or girl anyway. And some of the functions that the superintendent did before, such as the payroll, have now been almost completely shifted over to
Bridget.
Bridget, our accountant, right?
Okay,
So, and I think with the board's intervention as before, I think you could probably get it done without hiring somebody, but you'll have the staff going directly to the board, which I would imagine would be you as the representative anyway.
well, I think it's typical that in a situation like this, that the chairman would be able to act as superintendent.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Okay,
We would need to check that.
so would it be a vote? I've already checked. what
No,
I-
it would be a matter of law, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, I wasn't sure about that either. Yeah, I don't know if you can do, just like Glenn on the lower side can't be that and the superintendent, the commissioner at another level can't be commissioner and officially superintendent, so.
we need something immediate, so.
Yeah,
We can make a conditional.
Yeah, I mean, we need to check the town council, that's all.
Sure, yeah. It would be conditional.
When we had the issue 2 years ago with the light department, they tried to put me in as the acting manager, and I couldn't do it because I've been elected commissioner.
Okay,
So, and that may only be subject to 164, but I'm not sure.
okay.
And
So-
the administrator also indicated the other day that she would be willing to step in for 30 days.
Okay,
Apparently, the law is that up to 30 days, you can have a non-licensed person as an acting. So at this point, Debbie said she would be willing to do that because she's already involved in all, and strictly on an administrative basis, she's not gonna go down and tell you what to do with the water system, but in other words, to keep the paperwork flowing, the dealing with the technical items that have been going back and forth anyway.
Mm.
Then in the meantime, if you find someone you want to hook on, because you're probably talking, I'm guessing 60 days, if all goes well, probably you need someone for 60 days.
30 to 60 days, yeah.
30 would be real fast, but at the same time, at least 30 days gives you a little bit of a window here to help, and then it's obviously with that, everything been going back and forth, it's critical that the paperwork, especially the DEP stuff, be handled with someone with a little bit of experience. So she's volunteered to help you out in that regard, and then if in the next couple of weeks, if you get a determination that you can do it, Tim, or someone else sticks up and maybe does it for another 4 or 5 weeks after that, preferably at some point near the end of that, you want to get a licensed person, at least temporarily anyway, because I see in the stuff that Mark wrote, the staffing report, you're really going to the DEP with 4.5 licensed people, so I kind of find it hard that the DEP will accept less, probably be elected to accept less than that, knowing the transition period that we're in, that they're going to want to be assured that there's enough licensed people, so.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, just 2 clarifications. One, the superintendent's function doesn't have to be a licensed person, but it's always better in terms of the staffing plan to have a backup to go in. And DEP does have emergency standards where you can operate light for a while, as long as you're working towards. If we're advertising and we have full intention of replacing it as part of our plan, they're fine with that. Usually.
Yeah, Debbie's just looking at it, that it allows you administratively to keep going without basically a hitch
Yeah.
in terms of the paperwork and all that process. Meanwhile, your people and your board could really concentrate on the treatment plant and getting that right. Obviously, it's a big issue if it's coming up, it's starting to play with it this week in terms of testing it. And, I mean, Laura filled in for a long period of time there when John Reza was out, so it's not unprecedented. It's just a matter of trying to get as smooth an operation as we can here with Mark leaving, without creating 2 weeks that someone's got to come in and figure out what's going on. And I think that's where you're going to run into a problem if you try to do that.
Well, I was thinking more on the line too of manpower, and
Yeah.
Debbie is gonna be out straight because the meeting's coming up.
Well, she's agreed. Right now, the warrant's gone to print. She's busy, but she's willing to take this on because of the critical nature of making this. We all want this thing to work, and it's a particularly critical time now that we need to
Okay.
pull together and make it happen.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to put a motion forward, okay? I'd like to make it a motion that Debbie steps in on the administrative duties for 30 days. In the meantime, you check the law, Tim, and see if you can be the acting superintendent to keep the guys working without compensation. Because you cannot be paid for it, the law states that.
So let's discuss that. Right?
I suppose it's probably the best thing to do. It's all the paperwork back on the
Yeah, we have, what's the duties really that's of most concern to us? We have people working and somebody's got to, be the person that's, accounting for their time and vacation time to review the timesheets. Debbie's really good at that. The day-to-day operation stuff, she might get bogged down, and she, as far as
I
prioritizing.
think we got good enough guys out there, they know what they have to do during the day, they don't have to be babysat by any means.
Yeah, I think we got that under control, but still, they need to have somebody to answer to.
No, I know, but I mean, they know what they gotta do, it's not like that.
Yes, but they need a leader.
Mark?
Actually, I hadn't considered that before, but that's a pretty good idea. I mean, right now, with everything so busy, it's hard to have, the superintendent's almost a middleman, which it's slowing the process up because to get all the information downtown, this way she's right on top of it and there's no translation in between. In other words, at this juncture, with everything that's happening, and there's a lot happening, that's actually a pretty good idea.
Hmm.
And she has a direct contact to it, she can see for herself, without having to have relayed to her, and going back and forth and stuff like that.
Well, in Laura's absence, or when she went to another job, Debbie kind of managed, putting people down here to keep this thing going,
Mhm.
go on the right track and straighten out some of the problems we had, so. I do think that we need somebody that's a little bit more technical than Debbie to share the duties, but I think what we gotta do is, like Stu said, is, get Debbie appointed right now as the acting super, until we can determine whether, and I'd be willing to take it on a very limited part-time basis if it turns out to be a legal ability that allows us to do it. So we need technical oversight, and we need administrative. So do we have a motion? What's your motion, Stu?
To make a motion to appoint Debbie, the administrator, to take over the administrative duties here for 30 days. And if it's not against the law, appoint you down here to keep the men working, to be the leader down here.
how do we do that and, money-wise, but we,
There's no money.
No money involved.
no money.
No money involved, and the only condition I would put on it is that we hire somebody sooner rather than later,
I agree.
you know? So we need to get it through the personnel board. We need to get it through the personnel board on Thursday. We need to get it advertised, so. And
Tim, if you vote that today,
No.
do the job description, call Debbie first thing Monday morning. Advise her that you're prepared to go forward, and we'll post our meeting, and I would assume that, you know, very quickly, that can be posted
okay.
and advertised.
So we got a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
One second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Second thing is we have this job description. Roy, you had a chance to go through it.
Yep.
Did you have any things that blurted out at you, or?
Not really.
Okay. Mark, you want to go over the major changes, if any?
I could scan it, I haven't read it yet, but I trust it's probably pretty good. I mean, if it's an improvement on what Sue and I did, we were pretty close, so I'm sure.
Was this the same thing that you and Mark did?
There've been a few changes.
I don't think there have.
No, just should be a few changes.
A lot of it, I think, was format changes to fit into the format that
Yeah.
the town uses for all.
Okay, so Debbie already went through this?
Debbie did
I mean, the
this.
position is pretty, you go from town to town, I think the position is pretty
Okay, very good.
vanilla in terms of the job descriptions involved, so.
The overview of looking at this, we were trying to decide, do we need an operator who knows administrative or administrator who knows operations? And we said if we went to an administrator who knows operations, you can require them to get their license as a backup. And I'm pretty sure if they should be able to get the license very easily if they know what they're talking about. If they don't already have it, especially a grade 1, grade 2 license. And give them 6 months or something like that. You can study, take an online exam or a computer exam and pass it. And then you become an operator in training, which as the superintendent, if he or she were needed as a backup operator, he or she would be working as a secondary operator under the primary operator's license. So the point being is that after you pass the test, you have to work a few years before you get a full license. But to get the operator in training, just passing the exam, that's relatively easy, and they can do that. So it's better to get an administrator who knows that and can turn around and get their license.
Yeah, because the plant and the town is really licensed through the primary operator.
Right.
So that would mean that the boss is working for the person underneath him a little bit.
Not necessarily, only in terms of operations, not in terms of all the administrative work. In terms of the administrative work, the superintendent is still the superintendent. In terms of, we need someone to do rounds this morning because we're out on a break. Now the superintendent is working under the primary operator's license.
That sounds good. It's more of a hands-on type of
And one more thing is with the new treatment plant online, there's an office there. Let's say they were a break or someone was out sick or something like that. If eventually we will not have to be there while the treatment plant is running, but the superintendent can go do paperwork and function at that office and still be manning the treatment plant. So that's the plan right now, where either the superintendent or the primary operator would try to do their office work, their general work at the treatment plant and still be able to run it would still be manned. So that satisfies two things at the same time. So it's administrative structure and licensure is really two different frameworks working in parallel.
So would we need a motion to accept this, so we can send it to the person?
Well, the question was whether it's been modified significantly from Mark Stu's
This is it.
putting it forward, you know, and apparently you guys know that it was.
Well, I haven't officially looked through it and compared it to everything else. All I did was consult on Thursday with Stu, because he came in just to discuss getting it on the boards, and he and Debbie agreed that it was in order, and we would put it on. You know, if you guys voted it today, we would put it on. If you've got a couple of minor changes you want to make, and then vote the changes, we can still, it's, if you, as long as you guys vote a job description today.
You want your notes
We
from
can-
before, huh?
No, this is clearly an administrator, but I don't see in here where that person's required to get their license within a certain amount of time, and that really should be added.
It says up top, grade 14.
That's a job description.
That's where it fits in the pay scale.
That's a non-bargaining unit position, grade 14 is the superintendent position, but there should be a grade 2 treatment license within 6 months requirement, and that's not here.
Okay.
Can we add that to it?
Yeah.
Unless I'm missing it, but all of these things are very good. This is excellent. This
Yeah,
is
if you want, if you want to make any changes, make them, and then Debbie can rewrite it on Monday or Tuesday, and we'll vote it
Okay.
on Thursday.
So what should we add that, Mark?
right at the end where it says on-call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and expected to respond to emergencies whenever the need arises. I would add a bullet just above that, next to the last bullet, and say required to pass OIT.
To pass.
Is that under the qualification? I don't know, I don't have a copy of it, I don't know. If there should be some a listing of qualifications.
Yeah, maybe that is here, let me see.
Just check that first, just to make sure.
Yeah, education, experience,
Required to have or pass OIT,
Give this and give that to Dave.
grade
Grade.
2 to T2.
grade T, no, wouldn't it be T1, T2, or T2?
I think it's going to be D1, T2.
All right. Would he would have to have D,
Actually, the way it works on the lower levels is you can get the T2 and still do all the work.
okay, so T2.
And we're going to need him or her more at the treatment plant than we would out in the field anyway.
Water operator's license?
Yes. Well, you might just generalize it and say, required to obtain necessary operator's licenses within 6 months.
Yeah, keep it as general as you can.
It works.
That way you don't have to change it if there's a.
Yeah,
Don't
don't
get
get
by
too
me,
specific.
Required to pass or have OIT grade 2, T2.
Well, or just generalize it and say, required to obtain operator, I can't spell, any of my spells here, license within 6 months. Required to have or obtain,
Okay. Have
required to,
or pass.
along those lines. That's important. Now you've got your administrator, and that's a very good, this is excellent, actually.
Obtain or have OIT water operator's license within 6 months.
Correct.
Well, particularly because you're gonna also look at that person as being a
Backup.
DEP to back up, so you really need to, in the long run, have, short run, you can probably squeeze by, but in the long run, you're gonna need somebody.
In the short run, we can squeeze by, but you're right. It's like in most cases, it wouldn't even be needed, but it's going to be part of the emergency plan.
Well, it's a small department,
Yeah.
you know, you're always looking for a body sometimes when someone gets hurt, injured, or who knows, any number of scenarios can happen, as we all are aware.
Okay. So you guys like that with that change?
I do.
Okay, now a motion?
I'll make Roy made the motion, I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Let's just sign this for,
The sign, yep.
Yeah.
It was back page, yeah, wasn't it? What was, what sign?
The back page with the official one when we end up with everybody signs it. The files. Because Debbie will retype this up,
Yeah.
with the correction, or the change. Retype, that's an old term.
You're showing your age now, Dave.
Yeah, no, that's for sure.
Okay, so,
You take old habits, thank you.
you want to bring that down to the town hall and Monday?
Sure, motion. I made the motion, so we seconded to accept this.
You can explain it to Debbie a little bit. Oh, Debbie, okay. All right, so we addressed the vacancy of acting superintendent Griffin by appointing Debbie Egan, the town administrator, to act as interim superintendent for the administrative duties of this department. Be effective immediately upon your leaving today, so effective right now. Also, we're going to be looking into the legal ability for me stepping into that. But concurrent with that is we're going to advertise this position after we get approval at the Thursday. Where is that thing still? Let me just put a note on that. At the Thursday personnel meeting, Mr. Dalzell is going to be going there. And do you folks know whether we need to bring it before the selectmen at that point? Or can we go from the personnel board right into advertising the position?
I'm not sure, but you're coming in Monday, right, for a meeting, you can probably, we'll have that answer for you then.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with it for sure.
My guess would be, Tim, if the personnel board approves it, that they would recommend it to the board of selectmen, and the board of selectmen would then allow it to go.
Okay, so we can just get this done sooner rather than later. Okay, that's the interest of the board here.
Yeah, I think we'll try to post it, just because what's the publication you were talking about, Mark?
I'm sorry.
How are you talking about posting on, what is a publication?
New England Waterworks Association, you go right online, and it's where everyone who would be looking for this kind of job would go.
I would assume we'd want to get it on there ASAP.
And also, that's a branch of the American Waterworks Association. I think we addressed this earlier. I think the board already voted to just go with the New England Waterworks, which is New England, all the New England states. We don't need to go national. That's for much bigger jobs. But, I mean, you have the option. It's like $200 if you wanted to go to AWWA. But I think the board already voted that they would go to just the New England Waterworks.
I would think New England would cover it myself.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
It's really not a huge department, so.
we want to fast track it.
No, I understand.
Yeah, and that would be, New England Waterworks would be fast tracking it.
Okay. And we might want to advertise it to someplace else.
Well, I think probably it's going to be posted, and then they may, I don't think they have to advertise it in the newspaper or something, but if you want to do that, that's
I mean, you could throw an ad in, but if the way to go is to the association deals with water, which is New England Waterworks, so I mean.
So,
Well, we talked about putting advertisements on monsterjob.com or something.
Yeah, you won't get professionals.
We do not want to do that.
you end up getting
garbage.
a cadre of,
Yeah.
people that are on the edge of,
I can't
just,
remember what position you were looking for, but we got truck drivers and carpenters and
You get people who are not qualified
kinds
as
of
a
stuff
sign.
that didn't even have a clue what we were trying to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got
this is a professional position that would be, people that would want it would be reading the publication.
It's-
looking
Or a
at it.
headhunter
If
organization.
you're-
Or word of mouth gets out amongst the
Yeah.
group of people that, even if someone reads that and doesn't want it, they know somebody else that might be looking for something, and they can call and tell them.
Carmen, the website is www.newwa.org.
Familiar with it, yeah.
Yeah,
I've taken a couple of classes there myself.
okay, yeah.
And that'll be posted on the town website too, so.
Makes sense.
Okay, so the last point of business is the letter from the selectman's office that I'm still looking at, investigating all the information at this time. I'm prepared to, hopefully I'll be prepared to discuss it in detail at the selectmen's
Monday
meeting,
night.
hopefully. So I'm still looking into it, and we'll see what happens. I noticed on the agenda, status of water treatment plant operation and maintenance manual, including staffing plan. Do you have any idea what particularly folks want to talk about on that?
Well, I think it's pretty much straightforward. We kind of wish we had that operation plan 6 months ago. I think we would have got through this without any, scratches on it.
Yeah.
But it obviously hasn't come in yet.
Well, I thought it came in. I thought we had a draft, we've had a draft for a while.
Good draft, I haven't seen that.
Well, I think, Tim, from my perspective, and I think the board's too, is that, we're kind of looking for almost the old-fashioned organizational chart.
Yeah, me
The
too.
water board, treatment plants here, the operations here, and really it's a matter of how are the two intertwining, because if you're gonna use some of your operational people to deal with the treatment plant, how's that gonna affect your day-to-day operations and emergencies? And if we look at it, I know you're looking at hiring, a part-time person with the licenses and things, I mean, that's all part of that plan, and what I like to see anyway is things on paper, so that, we can sit here and discuss this all we want, and discuss it again Monday night at the selectmen meeting, and then 2 weeks from now, we're all gonna remember something a little bit different. So, some of this hard facts we need to put down on paper, and then we can all agree to change or not to change, or disagree if we need to, but at least we've got something, hard copy to look at. And the staffing obviously is a huge issue. The DEP is concerned with that. I would think they'd be looking for a similar type scenario, so they can determine exactly how we're going to staff it with what kind of licensed people. And it's a big item in the budget, because right now we're going back and forth on a part-time person, another secondary operator, or should it be a laborer, or, these are kind of issues that really we need to establish. We probably should have had that already, but we certainly need to do it now going forward so that everybody's on the same page.
Well, Dave, I think we're already there. We already know pretty much where we're gonna run this. We also have the staffing plan is already in progress. It's something that's done frequently by the department.
Well, I was just reading even in Mark's, the information that Mark sent in the emails is, I'm still, maybe you are, Tim, but I'm not sure that I quite understand it.
It's still a little shaky.
Yeah, and I just soon see, like I say, I'm looking for something that we can put on paper.
It's underway, but it's shaky.
Yeah.
May I shed some light on it? I'm not sure I've got the right thing, but let me say a few things. According to my understanding, this is a basis of design report for the Raleigh Water Treatment Plant. It was submitted in April 2011. This does not have in it, this is mostly technical of how it's going to be built and the design criteria and so on and so forth. This functions as the first draft of the operations manual. It was submitted in April of 2011. It does not address the staffing plan. I don't believe the final operations manual will address the staffing plan either. That's something that I don't think the designer is responsible for. I could be wrong, but I don't think they're responsible for it. I think that is something that's between the municipality as represented by the primary operator to Mass DEP. And that part about the primary operator, I'm not sure about that either. I think, I used to think that, but I'm thinking now that just about anybody from the municipality can represent the town in doing the staffing plan. In terms of, you're on the Human Resources Board, or what do you call it?
Yeah, I'm on the personnel board.
Personnel board. A staffing plan is just a fancy water term for, do we have enough human resources to run the system? It's really just the same procedure that the personnel department or anybody else would run to say, okay, who do we need to run what? And they just want to make sure that there's enough people to run on a day-to-day basis, and then two, what do you do in a contingency when someone's sick, they leave, something happens or whatever. Because there's been a change, usually the changes are just simple changes. Someone leaves, someone comes, and the name and the license number on the staffing plan changes. The challenge for us is that there's something new. We have a new water treatment plant, which in many ways changes the characteristics of the entire water system. So that, instead of looking at a single line item, we're gonna take this guy out who left and bring this person in who came back. Now we're forced to look at the whole operation again and make a judgment as what do we need. I think we do need about 4 full-time equivalents, including maybe we need 4 to 5 full-time equivalents. The 5th one might be the backup. And the 4th one, some of this is, more is always better, if you can afford it. But some of this is temporary because we're looking at 3 to 6 months of having to have someone at that treatment plant all the time, which is unusual. So the question is, do you hire someone new because you think you're going to need it in the first, do you add a new position because you think you're going to need it in the long run? Or do you have a temporary measure so you don't end up overstaffed after 6 months? So it's really just a personnel question. And then you get all the water jargon in there and the institutions between the municipality and the Mass DEP. But in a raw sense, it's just, who do we need to run the system?
I think, Tim, what we're kind of interested in is, in other words, the plant is designed by the engineer to run. Now, in that running of that plant, I'm assuming they put together, maybe not who's licensed and who isn't, but what are the requirements to run that plant for personnel? In other words, you got an X amount of square feet, X amount of operations, you need 2 people, 1 person, 3 people, 24 hours, just when the water's being filtered or whatever happens with it. How does that fit in with what DEP is looking for? Because they're the ones that are going to require that, the engineer says you need a person. DEP is going to say, Rowley, you need a person with XYZ licenses. Then you people sit here and say, okay, we need a person with a license. How does that fit in with our current staff? Do we need to hire an additional person? Can we take one of our current people and take them away from that job to put them over there? Is it for 8 hours? Is it for 8 plus 4 hours? Is it 12 hours? Because these all then become part of the budgetary issue. So this is what we're not interested in, the minutia of it. That's not our job. What we're looking at is how does this all fit together so that we hire sufficient personnel to properly manage the plant as it's built, to satisfy DEP, fit into our budget, and then union-wise, that's another issue of that fits in with it. The union isn't breathing down our back and your back, that you've got people who are doing union work that's non-union, and then we run into unemployment. If they work too long, then we're responsible for unemployment. And these are all the kind of staffing issues that's why I'm looking, I personally, and I'm not necessarily, the board may not want that, but I like to see something on paper so that we can, I got a question about Mark's position, I can say, Mark, listen here, what's the story of that? Or somebody else, Glenn or someone, how are you gonna have them here and over there? That's kind of what, and it's a piece, probably a number of pieces put together by, what DEP wants, what the engineer wants, what you people have, and what the budget has in it, so that come July 1st, when that plant opens, we all know exactly what the issue is. And if we run into a problem, we can say, okay, here's what we got on paper. Now we need to add a half a person or a full person or whatever. In other words, we all see exactly And we're all working from the same document that shows what we have and what we don't have, so we don't run into this. Well, I thought you said, and no, you said, and I said, and I didn't say it. You know what I mean?
This
It's
is
just-
gonna be up to DEP, whatever they tell us.
Well, they're gonna be a big part of it, I'm sure, because they're gonna tell you what you need for licenses and,
Actually, that's what I want to clarify, but first, first of all, I apologize. When I write when I look at, I try to be detached, and I write the staffing plan, I'm saying, this is what we need. Sure, it might involve unions, it might involve this, it might involve that, but I'm just trying to look at it in a raw fashion. This is exactly what we need from a human resource point of view. So I didn't address that, but I agree it needs to be addressed. And so some of the temporary measures I might have proposed won't work, but
yeah, no, that's
okay.
fine. I mean,
You know, okay, but we need to do something here, that's all I'm saying. But I want to make a point about, I used to think the same way as what you're saying, but as a clarification in terms of DEP's role in this, it's an anomaly. We're used to DEP making regulations and saying, this is what you got to do, and blah, blah, blah. And we follow the directions, we do whatever they say. The staffing plan is an anomaly. They don't tell you who you have to hire, or probably for the same reasons, they don't want to get involved in all that, but they don't tell you who you have to hire. What they do is they say, what do you got? And you tell them what you got. And this is how we're going to run it. And they say, okay, or no, that's not going to work. They just say yay or nay, but they don't try to tell us what to do. So we really have a clean slate. We can do whatever we want to do that works. And then if it's a good plan, DEP will say, oh, that's a good plan. But if they don't agree with it, they still can't tell you how to change it. They'll just say, no, you need a better plan than that. That's not going to work, that kind of thing. So it's an anomaly. We're not following regulations on this. They're just doing their job a little differently to ensure that they're making an evaluation of us to make sure that we are doing the personnel, human resources thing right. That's all they're doing. So there's no regulation of what it needs to be, except the only regulation is the people we hire have to have licenses that meet the grade of the plant. The primary operator does. The secondary operators, they can have one grade lower, and they don't have to have a full license, meaning you can just go pass the test on a Saturday morning at the different places, cost you $100 to go take the test, and then you are qualified to work. Why don't you go get your license?
Yeah, I should go take the test. I did take the courses, so.
Take the, and if you don't pass, yeah, why don't you take it? Yeah. And then that would add a person. And then someday when you need someone to do the rounds because they're busy, you can do it. It's a piece of cake. Especially the first two levels, the first two grades, it's not hard to pass that test. And you can pass a grade 1 and still work in a grade 2 plan. But this is where DEP makes the rulings.
Well, I guess my concern a little bit is reading the emails and what you put together on possible, 4.5, 3.5, whatever it takes, is it was mentioned that the primary operator's office is going to have an office, and it basically says in here anyway that will be full-time. His 40-hour week will be spent, his office will be at the plant. Now he can go out and do something and have someone else sit in. But what does that do for operations up here, or does that mean that the secondary operators and the laborers, do they, instead of reporting here in the morning, are they going to report to the treatment plant and get their work assignments from, this is just some questions that are operationally, not so much the plant, but if it's required that the primary operator is going to, work out of that plant, then how is everything else going to get done? And personally, not my business personally, but just from a water department perspective, is how does all this other work get done that you people still have to do and that have been doing and still are going to be required to do on a daily basis? Is that going to kind of become the headquarters for the water department, or
It could very well be. This is a work in progress. We not like getting the answer in a very general manner. The DEP is going to require us to have a T2, D2 operator for a primary operator. We have more licenses than that, and we have you know, people that can cover for that need. But I think also, don't they say that you need at least at least two people to run a size operation like this? I think they specified, I think there's two people, but I could be wrong. But I think that they want two people. We have.
See, this is my concern, Tim. In other words, you're saying you think, and he's, you know, well, you know,
Yeah.
we need, when this plan opens, we need to know that.
Yeah.
And we need to have this on paper. If we put together next year's budget without enough personnel, we got a problem.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to correct it in the fall or whatever. They're all correctable, they're all doable, but this is what I'm talking about in terms of a staffing plan, is we need to know what is required. And then we can tweak it 1,000 times between now and a year from now. But at least as we make a tweak, it'll be written, it'll be in the document or in the plan so that, you know, you're not coming down and battling with the selectmen or battling with DEP. And everybody on your board and everybody in your department, the guys out back as well as the office staff and everybody, we all know exactly what we're dealing with. And everybody gets suggestions, everybody can add ideas, I'm sure, but,
Yeah.
you know, you guys ultimately make that decision, and you'll know exactly what you're making the decision on, and that everybody in town that needs it knows exactly what you know and what you need to have them know.
I agree, we could talk for a week, but what's in black and white counts.
I think what we need, I mean, we keep saying staffing plan. We don't necessarily need a plan. But what we need the plan for is how many people we need to operate. Now, if we don't have enough people, we're going to be in trouble. On the other side of the coin, if we have too many people, you're still going to be in trouble because your rates are going to go up.
Well, do we have any, excuse me, do we have any emails from the design engineers saying this is what we need for people? They've already said that we could be operating it for 12 hours.
I don't think they would do that because, I mean, they might have suggested something, but it's not their job to tell us, actually. That's the questions you're bringing up, it's exactly what DEP will do. If you give them a staffing plan, they're gonna ask these same questions. And you're making me rethink, just like we did a revision on the job definition, and it gets a little bit better and better. The one that you saw, we've all been under the gun. That's pretty much a draft. You know, I mean, that's a first stab at it, and you had to get a little bit bold just to get that done. You know, because we're under the gun. Glenn wouldn't necessarily need to be up there. We have all this equipment. This equipment won't fit up there. You could put another operator up there, but what the point I was trying to make was that the reason why I said the primary operator is because they have more paperwork, administrative paperwork than the other operators. But you could do it any way you want. I see what you're getting at. If the superintendent is here, he or she would be supervising these people while Glenn is up there. We're in two different locations. But again, this is one of the things.
Yeah, so we need to think about.
Yeah, I think it's more of an internal thing, and with regard to all the supervision and stuff like that. And I don't think DEP is too concerned with that. They're more concerned about, are you going to have enough licensed operators to run the plant under all conditions? But that's definitely something we need to be concerned about.
Yeah, we're mainly concerned with budgetary items, personnel in the budget, and then we deal with the union. I mean, any union issues come to us, and, you know, we need to make sure that from a union agreement perspective that we're not stepping on that union agreement, and that we're making recommendations that the union has a chance to at least have a say in.
Well,
On staff on those kinds of issues.
It's unfortunate, Dave, but it's almost like it's the perfect storm. We get the budget, we got this plan about to open, and we're trying to, the best we can with all the experts we have, come up with what we think the personnel needs is to generate what we think the budget is. In an effort to cover some unknowns or some possibilities in an emergency manner, we've got some quotes from some contractors to give us some temporary help. Now, we had no intention of going into any contracts with those people, but we wanted to be able to be proactive if anybody asked those questions.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do if this happens? What are we gonna do if that happens? Because it's the perfect storm. We need to have a little bit of experience under our belts to be able to come up with these answers that everybody really wants. And I don't blame everybody for wanting those answers, but we gotta have contingencies out there.
No, I understand. In other words, we've done it in the past when we needed, when everybody left. We had to hire Weston and Sampson to come in on an emergency basis, and I mean, that may happen again on a limited basis, and that might be the best way on a short term, if everything is going pretty well, that may be the best way to handle a 2 or 3 or 4 week interim period, rather than going out and advertising and trying, going through the whole process of trying to find a qualified body out there. That maybe that's the way to go. I don't know, but
We all have it.
we're all aware of those, and we've done it in the past, so it's not something.
We have it in
that's
the
new to
back
us.
of our head that,
Yeah.
we do have a union question to satisfy them.
And for a short period of time, I'm assuming we can get by it. Just once
Well, we're
it
not-
becomes an extended period, then that's when the issue arises.
Yeah, on my staffing plan, I should have, hindsight's 20/20, but I should have made it clear this was a draft, that this is something we're building on. The package for 1 or 2 full-time equivalent operators getting stuff, I mean, that was just preparatory. I mean, the full intention was to make that completely transparent, and time was short. That's what we're dealing with.
Oh, we understand. I mean,
But anyway, that was it.
Hindsight is 20/20.
It's gonna be.
yeah.
Well, I mean, we need the history. We need to get that thing up and running. You need to get people in there that you think can run it, and then follow the history.
Right.
That's
At some point in time,
And
you
then-
may need to hire somebody else, or some point in time, you may need to let somebody go.
Yeah.
You don't know until you get the history of it.
And you gotta be on top of the ball.
Yep.
Have you folks went down and take a look at the plan at all?
I have a question.
You ought to take a look at it, because it's pretty impressive.
Next week it'll be running, actually.
The,
Actually, I was thinking next week.
there's a conference room there, it's large enough that you could move operations down there. Only trouble is, you would have trouble with the equipment.
You were mentioning history and the perfect storm. That's the other thing with this. If this plant had started up 3-4 months ago, we'd have no trouble making a budget right now. But we're trying to predict at the worst possible time what's going to happen.
Right, and you need the history to be able to do that.
Yeah,
Last year, we did the same thing.
Yeah.
We had a budget that we looked at, the finance committee looked at, financial people looked at, and decided that we needed to trim it down a little bit. And we hit quite a few of the categories, and some we didn't hit. But that's the history we gather, and the next one we go, we get a little better at it.
That's exactly why I'm against hiring any full-time help at this time. If we needed somebody else, you'd hire them part-time for the trial and error. We'll see where you are.
Work them into it, so.
Right,
And as the load grows, then you can put them on permanently.
right, and if Dave said, like I think you said, you may need more help, you may not. You don't know right now.
I don't know if there's any other issues that you have a motion to close the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Have a second?
Just 1 minute, I'd like to thank you for your 3 months that you've been with us, and echo my words, I said at the meeting the other night. You're one of the finest gentlemen that I've met.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much, Brett. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Ms. Carter, get your license.
Mark, thank you very much
Yes,
for
sir.
helping
Thank
us
you,
out
sir.
and doing all good luck in China, and
Thank you, sir.
future endeavors.
All in favor?
Recording.
Aye. Okay, so we'll see you Monday night.
Okay, that's good. Sounds good. Enjoy the beautiful week.